one of those really, really well-known teams out there as well, and things weren't looking good for the boys in vVv. So we'll see what's gonna happen now. It is gonna be Protoss versus Terran, xSix's Perfect versus vVv's Sohyung here on MLG Shakura's Plateau.
Yeah, Sohyung obviously just got to play against two Zerg players, so gonna have to switch things up. This will be the only Protoss he has to take on, and the final player, if he does win this game, will be Zerg. vVv Sohyung will be spawning as the blue Terran in the northwest corner, and on the east side, xSix is Perfect. Their Protoss player will be spawning in the northeast as the green Protoss.
All right, so this is already the 7th game of Wednesday Night StarCraft due to the show match. So if we do go over on time, thank you for joining us and sticking with us. If you guys normally only catch some of the ending games, I'm sure you guys are enjoying the fact that there is a lot more to Wednesday Night StarCraft tonight. Perfect opening up with a pylon close to home, and we'll see what comes of that. Meanwhile, Sohyung also building his supply depot close to home, wanting to make sure to return and mine more minerals once again.
Yeah, both players are just going to open up pretty standard at this point, not too much in the way of deviation. I think the important thing will be the second production building for Perfect when that goes down, whether it's going to be a few more gateways, whether he'll go for an early robo, whether he gets an expansion down before he places down that second production building, and then also the number of gases both players take. Typically if they go for 2 gas early on, they get techie off of 2 bases. If they just stay on 1 for a little bit longer, they often play more macro, maybe take a quick third.
All right, both of these players are going for that standard gas at 13 and 14, I believe. Perfect. We'll see if he does go for that Cybernetics core. He should be warping in another pylon now. There it is. And then it looks like he is not going to be expanding just quite yet, especially with taking that assimilator. What am I thinking? Now transferring 3 probes into the gas.
Yeah, so Perfect's gateway just now finishing. He'll add the Cybernetics core perhaps in a moment, or he could save up for that expo like we were talking about. Instead, it looks like he's coming out with an early Zealot, and he's rallying that immediately across the field. He sees there's no wall off here for Sohyung, so a Zealot could get in there, force a lot of kiting out of these early Marines that are coming out. Sohyung actually placing down a reactor, so taking a little bit of time investing in an add-on, but that's going to leave him woefully under-defended with just 1 Marine out for this Zealot as it comes across. Just 1 Zealot's not going to do too much, but a second one being chronoed and rallied across as well. Really interesting opening by Perfect.
All right, so Perfect wants to apply the early pressure probe. Gonna sit there at the Zonaga Tower. SCV gonna run into a Zealot there, and now things are gonna be looking very, very bad for Sohyung. He needs to get back home and figure out what he's going to be doing. Front door is now double training up Marines. 1 Marine also coming in from behind. There is a second Zealot already bringing up the rear as an SCV now moving away. We are going into a tech lab on the low ground, and so far Perfect is gonna take a look around on the inside of this base and perhaps be a little bit confused as to what the strategy is going to be. Marines now battling it up. 3 Marines against the 1 Zealot. The Zealot taking up a lot more damage than it should. We may be going into a Marauder with concussive shells. Perfect does spot the tech lab, and now I guess he decides to pull away, knowing that there is another production building already on the floor.
Yeah, it's going to be early pressure for Sohyung, so those Zealots really paid off. It meant that Perfect got a lot of information there. He's not going to fast expand. Instead, he's going to throw down a second and third gateway. He's going to continue producing units here, maybe even chrono out that Cybernetics core to get out Warp Gate just a little bit faster. He knows that Sohyung is going to be going for early pressure here off of 2 racks. It's not quite all in because Sohyung didn't make a 3rd or even 4th racks. Instead, he just went for add-ons off of 2. But we do have Concussive Shell about to finish, and even Combat Shield on the way. So maybe Sohyung's going to hit it. Combat Shield timing here would be interesting to say.
All right, Sohyung does have an SCV at the natural expansion. He's going to see the Nexus now warp in. Perfect now spots the SCV down over here as well, as Sohyung does get sight of that information, and now we'll see what's going to happen. He sets up a command center of his own as the Marines and the Marauders are now marching their way across the field. Combat Shield will not be completed in time, but we do already have Concussive Shell and double training up Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, here comes this pressure. It's going to be pretty tough to deal with, especially since he placed down that Nexus. Warp Gate just now finishes, and he does have a Sentry, so he's at least going to be able to protect his high ground there on that small ramp. But if a cancel is forced out here by So Hyung, that would be huge. Right now, he does do a little bit of kiting. Just one force field goes down, a second force field, and even a third is available for Perfect. Instead, we see him pushing out without having to use any more energy. A nice Guardian Shield there really reduced the amount of damage, and without Combat Shield complete, the Marines just are not tanky enough to take on the units here.
All right, so Stalkers and Marines are already in full retreat. A proxy pylon already set up. Seo-Hyung does spot this. He needs to take it down and in a hurry. Otherwise, home field advantage is going to go to his opponent. Stalkers now giving chase again. The Zealots and the Marines perhaps need to group together once more. Stalkers are just going to be continuing the charge. Seo-Hyung in a little bit of trouble. SCVs may need to get pulled from somewhere as one Marauder looks like it could get taken down. SCVs now coming down the mineral line and now perhaps going to try to absorb a little bit of damage. Here we go. One sentry does go down. More SCVs getting taken down as well. But the Stalkers with a very, very nice lead. What's going to happen here? Both sides still battling it out. Zealots, SCVs battling. The force fields do come down. SCVs still going to try to engage. More reinforcements coming in. Stalker's going to go down. But so many SCVs are down, and Seo-Hyung may get stopped here on Shakura's Plateau.
Yeah, 15 SCVs now, and it is very apparent that 43-21 Perfect has a huge advantage here with no wall off. Seo-Hyung's not going to be able to stop the tide of units just moving into his natural at this point, or even up into his main. I think that Perfect making a little bit of a mistake, not just pushing right up into the main immediately, especially without a wall off there. Instead, taking the guaranteed damage, making sure to damage that orbital command, and then also take down both the tech lab and perhaps the barracks here on the low ground.
All right, Perfect does have his own natural expansion set up, so he is in a very, very good position. And now this is also a very nice place for just Protoss players to be. If you can make sure that the Marines cannot charge their way down the ramp with force fields, there's the GG. Seo-Hyung loses Game 6, 4-2 in favor of xSix.